Denise, Denise, it's Denise, it's Denise, it's Denise, Denise, it's a podcast party, it's a podcast party, it's a podcast party.
I gotta say, I feel like we're besties now after this. What's up, guys? It's Denise Salcedo. Cody Rhodes is done with AEW and reportedly headed to WWE. We are on the road to AEW Revolution. What is up, everybody? I'm Denise Salcedo. You're watching Speak Now Pro Wrestling. It is February 16th, and we have so much to get into today. It's not even funny. These last 48 hours have been absolutely insane with so much information literally coming at us left and right in regards to what has been going on with Cody Rhodes, former EVP of AEW, and now there are reports that he is heading to WWE. There is so much to get into. Today we are going to kick things off talking about Cody Rhodes and this whole entire situation. We're going to go over what's been reported, what's being said, what we know, and all of that. From there, we're going to go on and talk about a couple of news tidbits that have also came out in regards to AEW talent. And from there, we will go into a loaded episode of AEW Dynamite. However, before I get started, I want to thank you guys all so much for coming into my post show each and every single week. I appreciate you all. I do want to let you guys know, especially if you are a first-time viewer, that this is a very interactive post show. Send in your comments, send in your thoughts, and I will be picking out a few throughout the night to go ahead and read. However, if you want to make sure that your question, your comment, or your statement gets read on this show, you can send in a super chat. If you send in a super chat, I will read your comment on the air. On top of that, F4W does allow me to keep 100% of the proceeds from all super chats. So it does help me out very, very much if you do send in super chats, and then you also get your comment read on this show. So let's get into this, everybody, because I'm kind of stressed. I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm legitimately stressed looking at everything that we have to talk about on today's show, because there is so much to get into. But let's hop in. Let's kick this off with Cody Rhodes, everybody. Let's get into this. All right, so here we go. So, last night, excuse me, I'm already all over the place, everybody. Brandon Rosen sends in a super chat saying, "No, Cody, no problem. The show must go on. Bye." Okay, well, let's get into this, everyone. Yesterday, news broke early in the morning that Cody Rhodes was essentially done with AEW. Not just Cody, but also Brandi Rhodes, that they were done. Now, prior to this, it had already been reported by Fightful Select Sean Ross Sapp that Cody was no longer working with AEW in terms of having an actual contract. So he didn't have an actual contract with AEW. Obviously, we were still seeing both Cody and Brandi on AEW television. So I think a lot of people were probably under the assumption of, oh, this is probably going to get handled in some time frame, right? I think a lot of us, that's what we were expecting. We were seeing Cody in this ladder match for, the TNT championship against Sammy Guevara. We were seeing him do all of that. We were seeing Brandi Rhodes, who recently had that whole promo segment with Dan Lambert. She was going off, and from the looks of it, she was probably going to be working with Paige VanZant. So there was a lot going on surrounding both Cody and Brandi Rhodes. So I don't think a lot of us were expecting to see Cody, leave AEW. I think a lot of us, we were probably just expecting for some sort of new contract to come about. I know when Sean reported the first news that he was working without a contract in AEW, immediately Immediately, I thought to myself, oh, this is just a publicity stunt for Rhodes to the top. This is all that it's going to be. And I didn't put much thought to it. But lo and behold, there was so much more that came out and so much more that has been coming out since then. So let's go ahead and break down what has been actually said about this Cody Rhodes situation. So everybody bear with me here because there is a lot to talk about. Let's talk about what has been reported. So here's what we know, all right? So this was reported. I'm going to start off with what Sean Ross Sapp said of Fightful Select. So what he had said after he reported the news that Cody Rhodes was working without a contract. Afterwards, he reported, quote, Cody Rhodes and Brandi have left AEW after they have not come to terms on a new contract. Fightful was told by AEW sources last Friday that Cody sought a big money deal, and several didn't think that re-signing was going to happen. So the first thing we find out is, okay, from the sounds of it, he asked for more money, and that was apparently not, granted, etc. Okay, cool. He also reported that discussions had happened between WWE and Cody Rhodes, that there had been discussions, and also WWE knew well in advance prior to the announcement that AEW and Cody made that Cody would be leaving AEW along with Brandi Rhodes. So that's what was reported on that end. On top of that, we have what Dave Meltzer reported, and here's what Dave had to say. He said, quote, over the last 6 weeks, there have been negotiations for a new deal with both continuing to work in community relations and on television as they were staying. Okay, so from the sounds of it, this was something that was, being worked on. I know that Dave also mentioned this on Wrestling Observer Radio, that, they had essentially gotten lawyers involved and they were in the process of negotiations. Okay, he said, quote, until the negotiations fell apart on Monday, most of the people at the top of AEW were not aware anything was up and figured that both Cody and Brandi were staying. He also noted that a source basically said that he categorized this as unhappiness, saying that even though everyone said that the EVPs were getting along, that they had been for a long time getting along with one another. As you guys all know, there were reports coming out that they essentially were not getting along. Dave says that apparently they were getting along, according to this quote. Continuing on, quote, he said they were working together on projects for the future. One person close to the situation used the term heartbroken. So it's really interesting to see all of the different information that we are getting in terms of like, okay, that was one thing, the money deal, the contract was one thing, the negotiations with the lawyers and all of that tied in together. Okay. Continuing on, Dave also reported that in WWE, there was locker room talk that Cody was possibly coming in. Whether Brandi would come in and wrestle wasn't known, but it was clear that she wanted to be a wrestler and made it clear that after giving birth, she wanted to return. So this was the information that we've had from both Sean and Dave as of yesterday. But then we got some more information, everybody. So let's get into this because there is a lot. This is a story that has kind of been like I said, new information coming in like every single hour. So this was the one that I think kind of shook people in the sense of like, okay, we've all been hearing that there's a possibility that he may be going to WWE. WWE knew that the announcement was going to be made. WWE and Cody had conversations, but now a recent report by Sports Illustrated's Justin Barrasso came out, and there was a lot to unpack here, everyone. So in the report by Justin Barrasso, he said that Cody is headed back to WWE, that there was no time frame given, but that the report speculated Rhodes could begin filming vignettes at the Performance Center as of this weekend. On top of that, Barrasso sources also noted that Cody's wife, Brandi, is not expected to join him in WWE. Barrasso noted that while Rhodes' May 2016 departure from WWE after a decade was due to creative differences with his portrayal and specifically the Stardust character, that those issues would, quote, will be a non-factor in this return, where he is expected to have a far different relationship with the writing team and Vince McMahon. To add to this, apparently, from the looks of it, it was said that he did not like a lot of the power, I guess you can say, that was taken away, that was part of his original deal with Tony Khan, because in the quote that Justin Barrasso also put out, it says, quote, "While Rhodes was never intended to overstay his welcome in the world title picture, one key factor that led to his exit was losing all responsibilities involving booking. That is a role where Tony Khan, who is the head of creative, has taken full reign. Originally, Rhodes was part of that process. As great as Dusty Rhodes was as a performer, his contributions as a booker are an integral part of this legacy for Rhodes. AEW represented another chance to pay homage to his father as a booker, while also further cementing his own legacy. Losing that opportunity in AEW hurt Rhodes more than any loss he suffered in the ring." So there is so much to unpack here. So a lot of people, looking at this from the outside, you're starting to think, okay, so Cody is going from one place where, he did have the title of being an EVP. And from the looks of it, according to this report, is headed back to WWE. And the key thing here in this whole thing is that there is going to be a different relationship between him and the writing team and him and Vince McMahon. Now, obviously, this is just a report, everybody. We don't really know for sure, but it is one of those things that to me is very surprising, because the second that Cody Rhodes, that I saw that he was leaving AEW, I thought he was going an entirely different direction. Originally, I didn't even think that WWE was on the table. The way that I saw things was, he's probably going to go and, do his own thing where he really wants to have, more power. Maybe he'll, I don't know, buy NWA or something, go work at Ring of Honor. That was my original thought process when I first heard the news. But now all this information is coming, and I'm just thinking to myself, I can't imagine going from a place where I was an EVP and this and that, and then going to another place where that creative is something more, where you're not really going to have that. So granted, we don't know what kind of deal could have been worked out. We don't know what the specifics are if he is going back to WWE. But one of the major things that we need to touch on regarding this story is perception. We have been talking about perception so many times, multiple times on numerous podcasts, one of which being that the perception of WWE right now is not that great in regards to the releases and just everything surrounding releases, surrounding creative, surrounding, all the reports that talent is essentially feeling, they have a low morale backstage. Okay, so you have all of these things that are adding to a really bad look for WWE. You're seeing a lot of the talent going over to AEW. You don't really see anybody going from AEW to WWE. So perception has been a major topic. And so we're looking at this, and if I'm WWE, first of all, if I'm WWE, I'm just thinking to myself, you literally, to help change a little bit of that perception, getting Cody Rhodes, an EVP of the competitor AEW, over to WWE, if I'm them, I would kind of bend over backwards, in the sense that having Cody Rhodes coming back to my company would add, would kind of, switch things up in terms of how people have been looking at things. We've only been seeing people go from WWE to AEW, but to finally have somebody from AEW to WWE would alter the perception of everything surrounding both companies. So that is a major thing that we have to get into. It is just nuts, everybody. On top of this, let's see what else we got, guys. There is so much. I'm going to start taking some of your super chats as I'm seeing them coming in, but this is your chance. If you have any questions or any curiosity surrounding the Cody Rhodes story, or something that I forgot to mention, considering that there's so much to unpack and so much to unravel here, send them in, because this is where we're going to go ahead and touch on that, especially because there's a lot of questions up in the air right now and so much information to take in. But let's go ahead and get some of these in here. We got one from Eric Louise who says, great recap on the Cody and Brandy situation and sharing your thoughts. Thank you, Edmana, for your insight. Thank you so much. I'm like freaking out here because I'm looking at everything that's been reported, and we got like so many quotes, so many different things. People saying, adding different portions to the story that I want to make sure, that everybody has what has been coming out, because obviously, people follow different people. And so you're getting one portion of a story, one direction, and one portion of a story in another direction. So I wanted to kind of bring it all in and sort of tie it all up. But anyways, thank you so much to Eric for sending in this super chat. We have another one from Justin Martin who says, Cody as an individual talent isn't a mega loss. The symbolism of him being the first AEW foundational piece to jump ship to WWE makes it a huge story. And that's, to me, that's exactly true. Like, I don't want to take away anything that Cody did in AEW, because I know that the last couple of months for Cody Rhodes haven't necessarily been the greatest in terms of, he even spoke about this in an interview, that he felt like the fans, sort of turned on him. Like, he mentioned, I forgot what interview he did, where he felt like, he felt like Woody in Toy Story, where it was the whole, they don't want to play with me anymore type of deal. And we all know, we've been watching AEW and sort of seeing the fans kind of turn their backs, I guess you can say, on Cody or whatever, right? And like, there have been so many reasons though, like, I am a Cody fan, right? But there were a lot of things that I think were done with his character on AEW that I was not a fan of whatsoever. And so a lot of people were just not digging this version of Cody Rhodes that we had been seeing the last couple of months. Granted, his last match, that ladder match that he had for the TNT titles against Sammy Guevara, was absolutely phenomenal. And if you like, in hindsight, looking at that now, it was kind of a great way to sort of, for him to end his run in AEW. But regardless, I think it brings up a lot of points that we still need to talk about, because if Cody Rhodes is leaving this place where he has a position as an EVP and he's going possibly again, reportedly, to WWE, it makes you think, well, does the title EVP mean anything in AEW if you're seeing Cody Rhodes essentially leave that? It makes you wonder, like, what is, like, is it really something where it should feel like a big deal? Because from the looks of it, if you're going from a place that you have an EVP status and then going to another place where you're not going to be an EVP, right? We don't know what's going to happen, guys. This is nuts. Thank you so much to Justin Martin for sending in this super chat. And all right, let's go ahead. I think we had another one here. This one is from Mike Parker, who says, he has a baby now, new priorities. If he was going anywhere, there's nowhere else to make that level of money. You can't like argue that. At the end of the day, like, money is money, and you don't know, again, if he is going to WWE, you don't know what kind of money or things are being offered. Like, so much different stuff has personally crossed my mind as I've been thinking, like, the what ifs and what is happening. Like, one of the things that has crossed my mind, because and a couple of people put it out there, and I started to think about it, and I was like, well, what if? I don't know. NXT 2.0 has been making drastic changes, as we all know. What if they bring him in to be part of that, to be part of the behind the scenes type of stuff with that? Who knows? I don't know. There's also like, I know Justin Barrasa's report mentioned that doesn't look like Brandy is headed, with Cody. So there's another question mark. What's going on with Brandy? Obviously, she just had a child. We don't know if she's, going to continue on or not continue on. Who knows on that end? There was another topic that I wanted to bring up, Roads to the Top. That's another thing to discuss. There hasn't been an official announcement for a season 2 of Roads to the Top. However, I know that on Fightful Select, Sean did report that there hasn't been, from the looks of it, the talent hasn't seen anything being taped for Roads to the Top. In regards to Cody Rhodes and Brandy, that they hadn't really seen anything. So that's something to kind of, pay attention to. Also, if he were to go to WWE, it's not like he can't do a reality show there. They got their relationship with USA. There's always a possibility with that too. So anyways, let's get some more of these super chats in here. This one is from Anthony Navarro, who says, if Cody does go to WWE, how do you think he is booked? I know what that report from Justin Barraza said about, it being a non-issue in terms of him having a better relationship with the writing team and Vince McMahon, but it's hard to say that I believe it, in the sense that when I watch every single show that WWE does, obviously, Raw, Smackdown, and NXT, and all the pay-per-views and everything, right? I've seen the bookings of a lot of people who you thought were going to be a big deal. A lot of people who you were like, oh, they can't drop the ball on this person. There's no way. All of that. You've heard the stories, and I'm sure you've heard multiple podcasters talk about this, but it's like when you see so much being done a certain way, you start to wonder whether or not that can change. And also, people are always told things, okay? We hear this all the time, like in interviews where talent says, oh, I was told this, and then this didn't happen, and then I thought that this was going to happen, and then it didn't happen, and I got offered this money, so I couldn't say no. All of this stuff. We've heard so much of this. So for me, it's like, I haven't seen enough to say that I believe the booking if Cody were to go to WWE, part of me believes that it would maybe be good for a bit, but then afterwards it would just go back to the exact same thing. I don't know. I don't feel so confident in saying that the booking would be great, I don't know. I have to see it. I have to see it to believe it, guys. Gerald sends in a super chat saying, where was TNT TBS on the Cody situation? I can't see how they and AEW would allow Cody's TV show promoting rival WWE to air. Well, again, we don't know as of right now if Roads to the Top is actually happening, if season 2 is actually happening. We don't know if that's still a thing. Like I said, I do think that if Cody were to go to WWE, he can do another reality show if that's something that he wants to do. Also, I forgot that he's doing the go home, the big show that he's doing. I always forget the title of that name, but that's another, topic to talk about there. Christopher Max sends in a super chat saying, I think this is a Brian Pillman scenario. No, he didn't get fired. I think he eventually goes back getting more money and more eyes on the product. Here's the thing. I do not believe, I know there's people out here on the internet and all of that think it's a work. I definitely do not believe that. I definitely do not believe that it's a work whatsoever. I think that it would make AEW look really bad if it was a work. So I don't think that. And I just don't see what pros they can get out of that in terms of bringing more money and more eyes to the product. I don't necessarily think that they totally need Cody Rhodes for that. They don't totally need him. Think about all the talent that they're bringing in, all the talent that they have brought in. You have names like CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, Adam Cole, all these other people, right? And the talent that they're building, you look at Darby, look at Sammy. They just had an amazing match here tonight. And granted, Cody was the one doing, the reality show and the talent show that he was a judge on. I personally think that if they were to pitch another person to have a role like that in the company, I think they can find somebody, to do those types of stuff. Cody doesn't have to be the only person that's going out and being on these reality shows and judging things and all of that. I'm sure they can find somebody else on the roster with a great personality that's going to go and represent them well, right? You would think so. So personally, I don't think that they necessarily need Cody just to, make, to bring more eyeballs on the product. I think they can do so in other ways as they have been doing. So I hope that answers your question. But thank you so much to Christopher Mack for sending in that super chat as well. Once again, guys, if you want to get your questions, your comments, your opinions, your theories read on this show, go ahead and send them in here. We got another super chat. This one is from Eric Luis, who says, imagine a Cody and Matt Cardona multi-promotional indie feud. That would be awesome. Well, given the run that Matt Cardona is on right now, he is on, he's doing cool shit, man. Like, there's somebody that really took the ball, really took an opportunity and made something for himself. So shout out to him. Thank you so much to Eric for sending in that super chat, BTW. And all right, let me go ahead and see if I missed anything. We have another super chat from Lake Locke. Thank you so much to Lake, who says, so Cody is leaving AEW because he can't book his show. So he goes to WWE where he will have no creative control whatsoever. ? That doesn't make any sense. That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying here. Like, there's got to be more. Like, either just this is literally based on the information that came out from that Sports Illustrated report. But with that information, it's either okay, there's got to be a lot of money at stake or on the line, or there's more to it. There's more in store for him if he were to go with WWE. Whether that means something with, doing something with NXT, I don't know. Or maybe thinking along the lines of the reality programming, I don't know. But there's got to be something, because I just can't imagine, like I said, I cannot imagine going from a place where you are an EVP to a place where you're not an EVP. I just can't imagine it. Lake, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it. And alrighty, guys, let me go ahead and catch up with everybody. From the looks of it, I'm all caught up on that there. But guys, if there's anything that I didn't touch on or any opinion that you want to send in, you can go ahead and do that. If you do send in a super chat, not only does it help me out, as I do get to keep 100% of the proceeds after YouTube takes their cut. Suck it, YouTube. I didn't mean that. YouTube, don't punish me. After I do get to keep, the portions of that, and you also get your comment read on here. So I think I covered everything that I wanted to cover about this Cody situation. I swear to God, I'm going to remember something after the show and be like, shit, I didn't talk about that. All I know is that this story is ever evolving, changing, and more information is coming out rapidly. So we'll see where we're at in the morning, because the one thing that I've been noticing from this whole Cody situation is that I started off thinking one thing, more information came out, and I reanalyzed everything, developed another theory, another opinion. Then I had more information coming out, and it caused me to change and evaluate my opinion on all of that. All right, so from here on out, let's talk about a couple of other things that have been reported in regards to the news, and then we're going to go ahead and get into the AEW Dynamite show, because we had a lot that went down there too. So we also have another report that was sent in by, that was reported by Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select. And he reports that from the looks of it, Buddy Murphy, who is now going by Buddy Matthew, may possibly be headed to AEW. He's been, this is a direct quote from Fightful Select, who says, quote, Matthews has been a free agent since about September and told Fightful he wasn't quite sure of where he'd land. He's worked a plethora of indies as well as dates for MLW and New Japan Pro Wrestling, but we haven't heard details on him signing anywhere. Sources within AEW in recent weeks have indicated that there was growing interest and rumblings about Matthews joining the company in some capacity, with some even heard that there were creative pitches made, with another source going as far as to say that creative has already decided, and they haven't confirmed either of those two. But regardless, there is a huge possibility from the looks of it that Buddy Matthews will probably go to AEW. Now, he is a talent that I think, along with many other talents, was not necessarily used to his full potential. There is still a lot more to be seen. And if he goes into AEW, we'll see how he fits into that already very jam-packed roster. We got a super chat from Mike Parker who says, the only thing that hasn't been discussed is if Cody has an NDA as an executive. Can you imagine if he doesn't? I do not know. I haven't seen anything about that. We'll find out. Let's see who he does his first interview with, where he gives us, some tea, hopefully. That's what we all tune in for the interviews, right? Some tea. Thank you so much to Mike Parker for sending in that super chat. Another update on Jake Atlas, everybody. So Jake Atlas suffered an injury in his match with Adam Cole after recently debuting on AEW. Quickly after that, unfortunately, he got hurt. He did send in an update today, and he has a torn ACL. He is in good spirits. He says AEW has been very supportive of him. He is disappointed about, the timing of all of this, and who can blame him? He literally just came into the company and unfortunately got hurt, and he already had like this whole, traumatic experience. And so coming into AEW, getting hurt, especially with a torn ACL, not so great. But he's not quitting and he's going straight to rehab. So wishing well to Jake Atlas. And now, let's get into Dynamite. As Gerald says, like I said, there was lots of news to get into. AEW Dynamite, let's go, everybody. Nashville, Tennessee hosted the show here tonight, and we opened things up with CM freaking Punk. And he's in his he's wearing a mid Burberry. He's wearing a shirt that says mid with the Burberry print in the letters, which I hadn't seen that shirt. I'm assuming it just came out. Maybe I'm not up to date with the AEW merch, but I thought that shirt was pretty funny though. He goes into a lot here. So let's break this down because this leads into one of our first major matchups that is occurring on AEW Revolution. As I said, we are officially about like 2 weeks away from Revolution, which I cannot believe, but we are headed there. And we've got, 3 matches that we know are certainly happening, one of which was decided during this opening segment. So he kicks this off with a promo that we have all heard that we all know. He basically starts talking about, his straight edge lifestyle. And the second he uses the I'm better than you, I'm like, yup, I know it, heard it, been there. And so he kind of, touches on that. And he starts to talk about his influence on all the wrestlers, right? He says, a lot of wrestlers became wrestlers because of him, and a lot of wrestlers became straight edge because of him. So super non-related, kind of related to this. I grew up a major CM Punk fan, okay? Like CM Punk, when I was that geek that discovered him when he was in Ring of Honor. That was my discovery of CM Punk. I discovered him when he was in Ring of Honor, and I remember going down this like rabbit hole of watching all of these matches that he was in. So I remember when he went to WWE, and as you all know, I grew up a big WWE mark too. So on top of that, I was very excited when CM Punk went to WWE and all of that, right? My point is here that I'm one of those nerds. I'm a nerd, okay? But I'm one of those people that I didn't become a wrestler, but I was like influenced by CM Punk's straight edge lifestyle, where it was one of those things where the second he started talking about, not doing drugs, not smoking, not drinking alcohol, I was this teenage girl thinking, yes, that is the way to go. I'm going to do the same thing. Now, granted, my parents instilled good values in me, and chances are I wasn't going to go and start doing drugs either way. But regardless, CM Punk was the person that really put it in my head of like being straight edge. So when he mentioned this in his promo, I just thought, this is very true because I'm one of those people, and I'm sure a lot of people here watching this show right now probably had a similar experience with CM Punk and that straight edge lifestyle. But after this, he basically says, that MJF tries to be like him. And he says that MJF, all that he is, quote, a shitty little Max from a shitty Long Island. All right. So now the point of this whole thing is that he's going to name the time, the date, and the place for his rematch against MJF. So this match is officially happening at Revolution, and it is going to be a dog collar match. This is going to be only the second dog collar match that we have gotten in AEW history. The first one was Cody and Brody, and so this is it. This is happening, and I liked this. I'm very excited that this is going to be a dog collar match. At first, he had said it was going to be a steel cage, but I was like, all right, that would have been cool too. But I think the dog collar match just makes it feel a little bit more, grand. And I'm excited because that they're going to essentially get super violent. And I'm all about the violence. So I'm very much looking forward to this. MJF comes out, and for the first time ever, MJF has no words. He says nothing. And MJF is a guy that when he comes out and he cuts promos, he always has something to say, and he always leaves you with your jaw, completely on the floor because of the things that he says. Well, it turns out when he doesn't say anything either, it's also kind of like, oh shit, MJF didn't have any words. This is serious. So I liked this. I'm looking forward to this. And I posted on Twitter, and I felt really stupid during this promo, guys. Really freaking stupid. And I'm going to tell you why. So CM Punk throughout this promo is sitting down on the mat, okay? And he has, the camera is staring right at him, okay? And all you see is a red little thing here and kind of this, black thing here. I swear to God, the entire time during this segment, I thought that CM Punk had an iPad with him. I felt so dumb when he took out the freaking dog collar, and I was like, what? It's a box? This whole time, I thought he had an iPad, and the whole time I was wondering, why does he have an iPad? Is he reading off what? This doesn't make sense. Is he reading off the information for Revolution? Where are we going with this iPad being in the ring? I felt so dumb, but turns out a couple of other people on Twitter also thought that he had an iPad with him, so whatever, just thought I'd put it in there. All right, so let's get a we got a super chat from DJ Smith. Thank you so much to DJ Smith, who says, welcome back to the big leagues, Cody. Ooh, hey guys, it's your opinion. If you want to get it read on here, if you paid your money, get it in there. Thank you so much, DJ Smith, for sending in this super chat. All right. Someone says, what? Why an iPad? Dude, have you not seen an iPad when it's folded with the little sleeve? When you fold it over, it looks just like an iPad. I swear to God. Go back and watch. Compare your iPad and go back and watch. Look just like it. All right, I'm going to continue on. Also, I did forget to mention, thank you so much to Sean Williams, who reminded me of the photo. CM Punk also pulled up a photo of MJF meeting CM Punk, and he said, for you, it was the greatest day of your life. For me, it was a Friday. Burn. Such a burn. Loved it. All right, let's continue on, everybody. Let's get into Bryan Danielson versus Lee Moriarty. This ended up being a very good match, a very good match. And granted, it's Bryan Danielson. If his name is in the match, it's going to be good. But I want to make sure to say that Lee really held his own here. I think that, he's never had, from what I recall, in AEW, a bad match or anything like that. He's always been, people have been a fan of his. People have been like, oh yeah, we're fans of Lee Moriarty, et cetera, and he's done good, right? But I think that this match here tonight kind of showed him in a better light, in the sense that he kicked ass, man. I don't know how else to put it. He really kicked ass. Aside from his match for the last, this was his biggest match aside from the one that he had with CM Punk. Because obviously you're in the ring with CM Punk, especially right after he came back. It's going to be a big deal to be in the ring with him. But I just liked everything that we saw here. So let me break this down a little bit. First of all, kudos to the way they actually set up this match, because we all know that Bryan Danielson essentially buried a lot of people when he did that promo when he wanted Jon Moxley to essentially join up with him. One of the names that was mentioned in there was Lee Moriarty. Like, he didn't bury him, but he basically said, like, he's somebody that we should be taking under our mentorship. So on Rampage, you essentially had Matt Sydal in the face of Bryan Danielson, basically saying, like, why are you out there telling the people that Lee should not be one of my, that I should not be mentoring Lee. And so then Lee gets pissed off and he's like, you guys are all talking like I'm not even here. And so he basically challenges Bryan Danielson to a match. And I'm like, hell yeah, you should. If your name is being discussed and thrown about in this room and you're not liking it, challenge the guy. And he did. I love this. This was essentially, they kick off this match. They do a lot of, they do a lot of technical wrestling, which was fun. They hit the mat right away. From here on this, we end up seeing Bryan essentially getting him with all of those kicks to the chest, which were absolutely brutal. We see Bryan lock in the label lock, but immediately Lee Moriarty gets to the rope. So, he isn't able to capitalize on that. One of my favorite parts of this match, speaking specifically for Lee Moriarty, was when he was getting all of those elbows in on Bryan Danielson. I really liked that. He tries to clothesline him at one point, but instead suplexes him. That was really fun too. And then for the ending, we do see Bryan essentially stomp the hell out of him, gets him in the triangle sleeper, and ends up winning the match here. We all knew Bryan Danielson was going to win. That's not even the big thing. But this really made Lee Moriarty look really good. So good for him. That was a win right there. Let's see what else we got to add here. And we got so many comments here. This one's from Andrew, who says, Moriarty and Bryan went out there and had fun to get that creative grappling. Bryan respects Moriarty's talent. You can tell that he was having a blast. Like, you can tell Bryan has a blast when people go at it with him. Like, when they really, really go, you can tell he has a good time. Scott George says, I don't see it in Lee. I must be missing something. I think that today's match, if you hadn't seen something in him just yet, I think that today's match is probably the one where I really felt, where I was like, I always liked Lee Moriarty, but I think this was the match that for me made me, again, like I said, see him in a different light. And this was the match for me. So we'll see. If he keeps going at it and keeps having matchups like this, granted, again, he was in the ring with Bryan Danielson, but if he keeps having matches like this, it's going to be, the future is going to look good for him. All right, post-match. Let's get into the post-match action that occurred, because shit, we got a lot that went down here today. Damn. All right, so post-match, Bryan Danielson starts off by saying, I don't trust the American public with anything. And I was like, damn, bro, me either. And so he demands that Jon Moxley gives him an answer. Are they going to team up? Are they going to, cause violence in AEW together? They're going to mentor all the young guys together. What the hell? He wants an answer. Jon Moxley comes out, and I really liked everything that Moxley had to say here, because I feel like I was kind of seeing this in black and white, in the sense of, like, he's either going to join up with him or he's not going to join up with him. That's it, right? Only two options here. But I think that the way that Jon Moxley explained all of this, in the sense that he basically starts off by going back. He rewinds in time and recalls the first time that he met Bryan Danielson and the first time that he was going to wrestle him, and basically saying, like, shit, like, I'm going to be in the ring with the guy that they say is the best wrestler in the world, and I'm going to be in a match with him. And he says that, he fought tooth and nail, but he fell short. Okay, great. He says that the second that he saw that Bryan Danielson was going to be coming to AEW, he was excited because he wanted to face him. He wanted to beat him. He wanted to show him that, he's a different Jon Moxley now. But lo and behold, Bryan Danielson, instead of wanting to face Jon Moxley, wants to be working with him side by side. And so Jon Moxley then poses a big question by saying, like, do you really want to work with me side by side for the good of AEW and the good that we can do together? Or do you want to be side by side with me because you're afraid to be across the ring from me? And I thought, damn, Moxley, like I didn't even think about it that way. And it's such a big, obvious thing. But I marked for this. I completely marked for this. I thought this was very interesting here. I liked it because the whole entire time you're thinking of Bryan Danielson and the heel work that he has been doing with AEW thus far, right? And for me, like it made me like wonder, okay, so is like I legitimately don't know which, whether or not Bryan really does want to team with him because he wants to team with him, or is he ducking Jon Moxley? Is he ducking Jon Moxley? Probably. He probably is. You guys all know the keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer line. Maybe that's what Bryan Danielson was doing all along, and Jon Moxley is seeing right through it. Regardless, I liked this. I really did. And lastly, Jon Moxley basically closes this off by saying he doesn't stand side by side with anybody until he bleeds with them first. Alrighty, guys, let's get some thoughts in here. How did you guys feel about this with Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley? Do you want to see them team up and do something together? Or are you more on the end of, nah, let's just get them to kick each other's butt, and I'm good with that. Let's get some thoughts in here. And let's see here. This one is from John, who says, Danielson wouldn't need to duck Moxley, had make quick work of him. Well, obviously, like the character-wise, he's a heel, so I feel like they could argue that he is ducking Jon Moxley just to kind of add to the story. Let's see what else we got here. And this one is from, let's go through a couple more comments. This one is from Queen of Fuego Mundo, who says it was good shit. I completely agree with it, and all the facial expressions that he was doing as well were pretty good stuff as well. We got people say, we got a super chat. Yay. This one's from Roberto. Thank you so much to Roberto Arsenal, who says, Mox saying bleed with me first was great. They will have a match at the pay-per-view and then form a new faction. To me, this is my favorite storyline in AEW. I like it too because I think one of my favorite things of like, for example, like when we were seeing CM Punk and Eddie Kingston, kind of go at it with each other in the match, on the mic, they brought up a lot of like real life situations, a lot of like real life moments, things that happened in the past. And I liked that Moxley started off with that on today's promo as well. I love stuff like that. Like when you give me real life things and incorporate it into the storytelling, I'm all here for it. Thank you so much to Roberto for that super chat. I really thank you for it. All right, let's go ahead and continue on, everybody. And let's get into this video package that we got from Keith Lee, Limitless Keith Lee. Basically, he just says he's here to make a statement. He's already in the face of the Revolution ladder match, as we all know, after his win last week. And he's here to make a statement. He's going after the TNT Championship, and that's about what we got here today. Now, we're going to move on to Wardlow versus Max Caster. This was for the Face of the Revolution qualifying match. And my favorite part of Max Caster's rhyme for today, or his rap rather, was he told Wardlow, "You're not a man. You're just MJF's bitch boy." And okay, we've been talking about this whole Wardlow thing forever. We've been discussing it. I'm running out of things to say. But I am going to say something now that I haven't said because I didn't feel this way until today. A lot of people now have been throwing it in Wardlow's face that MJF is using him. CM Punk and now Max Caster and Anthony Bowens. So now they need to get this over and done with. Wardlow needs to let his anger out on MJF. That is it. This is it. No more. He's a guy with patience. No more. He's just making the faces and all of this. I think now is the point where he needs to do it, because if everybody is, calling him out and making fun of him from being a bitch boy and this and that and this and that, CM Punk literally told him to grow some balls last week. It's going to make Wardlow start to look dumb if he doesn't, eventually or sooner rather than later turn on MJF. At some point, he needs to do something. That's it. We've been talking about this for months. Wardlow, he needs to grow. He needs to grow a pair, like CM Punk says. That's it. I've lost my patience with Wardlow. He's done. He's been through enough. All right. B McTastic says this is the slowest burn ever. Please bomb Spears, then MJF. All right, let's continue on. So the actual match, the first portion of this match occurred in picture-in-picture. I didn't see any of it. I bounced during the picture-in-picture. We come back. We see Max Caster hit Wardlow with a chain. The referee misses it. Goes for the pin. It's a near fall. Wardlow gets mad. Wardlow power bombs him once. Power bombs him twice. Power bombs him 3 times. Gets the win. He advances to the Revolution, the Face of the Revolution ladder match. And post-match, Anthony Bowens comes from behind and attacks him. And Sean Spears, who's like literally right there, doesn't do anything about it. And so Wardlow power bombs Anthony Bowens. Sean Spears finally comes in, gets both guys with the chairs. And Wardlow's just like, ugh, this freaking guy, right? That's it, Wardlow. No more rolling your eyes. You gotta do something. That's it. This can't go any longer, guys. D. Eddie says maybe Wardlow likes the humiliation. I don't know anymore. I was going to say no, but damn. This has been going on for a long, long time. Scott George says Wardlow needs to beat the hell out of Spears to get his point across to MJF to send his message. Kill the accountability, but kill the I can't say accountability, but accountability buddy. Kill the accountability buddy. Jesus Christ. Moving on from this. All right. Kill the accountability buddy. Oh my God, I finally said it. All right, everyone. We're about to move on from here. We still got so much more to go over with AEW Dynamite. But before I do, if you guys are enjoying today's show, friendly reminder that I am here each and every single week to talk about Dynamite. I'm here on Tuesdays to talk NXT 2.0. Wednesdays for Dynamite, and Fridays I am back to chat both SmackDown and Rampage. This Friday is going to be a little interesting since we are getting Rampage 1 hour ahead of SmackDown instead of immediately after SmackDown. So that's going to be sort of interesting in terms of like the viewer experience, because I know that when I watch on Fridays, I'm like, all right, cool. I got 2 hours of SmackDown. And then we're going to end it on a sweet note with Rampage. But this time it's going to be the opposite. It's going to be more of like, I got to do this post show. How far are we away from this post show? So we'll see what goes down on Friday. We'll talk about the matches that are announced later on, but let's continue on because we do have more to discuss. Again, friendly reminder, guys, if you do want to get your question, your comment, your statement, or opinion, whatever it is, read on the stream, send in a super chat. They help me out and they get your opinion on here. All right, Hangman Adam Page. It is the War of the Atoms. And now wish me luck, everybody, as I try to tell you what happens here without confusing everybody. So last week we had a phenomenal, and I mean phenomenal, Texas death match between Adam Page and Lance Archer. Good shit, all right? Adam Page retains his championship. That's what I like to see in my champion. A dominant winner. Doesn't care. He will get bloody every month like a champion. I love it. Anyways, so he barely gets a chance to speak when Adam Cole comes out. And this was teased last week that Adam Cole was essentially coming for the AEW World Championship, because as soon as that match ended, Adam Cole came in and kind of, eyed the belt and ended up putting it on Hangman. But he did so in a way of like, this is yours right now, but it's going to be mine, sucker. So anyways, they basically, go at it a little bit here. And Adam Page tells Adam Cole, like, I've always wondered, or I was curious as to how it felt for you to see your friends go off and start a company without you. And I thought, oof, that is a dirty one. And then Adam Cole throws a shot by saying that Adam Page has always been known as the other Adam whenever they are both working together. So the War of the Atoms, ladies and gentlemen. And then it looks, Adam Page fools us for a second. He pulls us for Adam Cole fools us for a split second. And Adam Cole basically says that whenever this match between them happens, that let the best man win. All right. And you're thinking, that's unlike him. That's unlike Adam Cole just to say whenever this match happens, let the best man win. And just when you fell for it, just when you thought he was really going to walk away and that was going to be it, no. His buddies, his besties, Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly come from behind and attack Adam Page. And so they attack him. And then the Dark Order comes out. They have his back. And prior to that, we did see securities coming out to try to break them apart. And Dark Order essentially come in right after that. Number 10 starts going super crazy and starts taking out all the securities. It was really hilarious, actually. Good stuff, guys. I'm very excited that we're getting right into this Adam Page, Adam Cole stuff. But if you would have asked me, I know there's a good chance here that it's going to be whenever Adam Cole goes off and faces Adam Page, I think there's a good chance that Adam Cole is definitely winning the AEW World Championship. And I get it because there's so much to do with him as champion. But damn, I just whenever it happens, I hope it doesn't happen too soon because I really do want Adam Page to have a nice little lengthy run. So I'm a little bit conflicted here, guys. I know at the end of the day, there's still so much to do with Adam Cole, but I also feel the same way with Adam Page. All right, let's get some thoughts here, guys. Thoughts on the Adams. Let's see what people are saying here. And this is a comment from Kev B who says, Paige versus Cole is going to be an awesome match and lead to Kenny Omega coming back to feud with Cole. That is exactly where we are headed. Yeah, at least from an outsider's perspective, that's also the assumption that I am under. And all right, I think I got pretty much what I wanted to get out of here. Let's go ahead and continue on from this. So afterwards, we get into Santana and Ortiz versus Jake Hager and Chris Jericho. This was a pretty okay match. I don't think I loved it as much as the live crowd did. I think the live crowd was really into this match. I don't know if it was the picture-in-picture. I don't know what it was, but I wasn't as connected to this match as the live audience was. They were really into it. I wasn't. I didn't really connect with this one. So I was a little bit feeling left out here because I just wasn't as into it as maybe some other people were. But anyways, Eddie Kingston returns. That's huge. He was out because he had the orbital bone injury, so he was gone. So immediately when he comes in during this, prior to him leaving, he was already feuding with Chris Jericho. So now him coming back, this is essentially continuing that storyline with him and Chris Jericho. At the end of this match, they essentially end up brawling with one another. And but what this really got me thinking, and you guys all know where I'm going with this, is that interview that we did with him on Wrestle Talk. Eddie Kingston legitimately does not like Chris Jericho. And this was something that he was talking about in that interview. If you listen to this interview, I think you're watching this and going damn, he really don't like Chris Jericho. It was very interesting to hear him talk about his real honest opinions on Jericho. And I know a lot of people are was he was he just working all of us? I don't fully know, but based on that interview, I feel those are his legitimate thoughts. Maybe it kind of got me thinking, but he basically said that Jericho is, a person that really only cares about himself. Everything's always about him. All of these guys in the inner circle are really just, in the background of Chris Jericho, etc. So he really gets into that, which I think is very interesting because I do think there's a lot of truth to that. And so hearing him actually say it out loud was very interesting, to say the least. So if you watch that interview, I think you know where I'm getting at and how we feel about this. But let me continue on though. So during this match, it was all right. I thought it was okay. Like we see Jake Hager hit the Hager bomb on Ortiz. We see Santana do the Russian leg sweep on Chris Jericho. We see Ortiz take out Hager on the outside. They end up hitting the street sweeper on Jericho, but it's a near fall. Jericho gets Santana in the walls of Jericho. Santana gets to the ropes. Cool. Jericho takes out Eddie Kingston when he was on the ropes. He kicks him, gets Eddie Kingston essentially to knocks him out there. And afterwards, Santana hits a lariat and gets the win by pinning Jericho. So this was all right. Afterwards, like I said, Jericho and Eddie Kingston go at it. But I'll just be honest, this Inner Circle breakup, it really feels, again, doesn't really feel like a big deal to me. It just doesn't feel like a big deal to me. I just feel like all the timing of this was wrong. I've said it 1,000 times and I'll say it again. This should have ended when they were feuding with the damn Pinnacle. Should have broken up right then and there. Because now I just feel like this is dragging. I feel like the Santana and Ortiz portion of this breakup, this Inner Circle breakup, I feel like now it's still in the shadows. Now it's just in the shadows of Eddie Kingston and Chris Jericho. So for me, they should have just broken up when they were feuding with the Pinnacle. I'm sick and tired of saying it, but I gotta say it again because it just doesn't feel like a big deal. Like, it doesn't feel like a big deal that we're seeing Inner Circle members teaming up against each other and, essentially breaking up. And then Sammy had a big match later in the night. So, you can kind of disregard that for a second. But Sammy, was playing the peacemaker in all of this. He was just basically saying, like, I've walked out of Inner Circle before and I could walk out of the Inner Circle again. Like, you guys need to make peace with one another. I think I would have liked something where, like, maybe Sammy was part of this, where it's like, I don't know, some sort of turmoil where they're like, shit, like, we can't get them to be friends. What are we going to do? Maybe a conversation between Sammy and Jake Hager. I don't know. I think there could have been a little bit more done there. So that's my thoughts on this. But let's see what we got here. Danny Boy says, how many times do we get the Kingston Jericho altercation? I think we've seen them maybe like 4 times now. But granted, they were doing all of that. And then Eddie Kingston got hurt. And I think Jericho was gone for like a bit. And then, now they're just both back and they're restarting this again. We got a comment from Yodon, who I agree with, who says the Inner Circle should have broken up last year. Thank you. Yes, agreed right here. Let's see what we got here. All right, I'm going to go through some more comments and see what people are saying. And Danny Boy also adds Santana and Ortiz, to be honest, weren't put over here, was focused on Jericho again. And granted, they got the win. Good for them. But it just didn't feel like a big deal. Didn't feel like a big deal. All right. Justin Martin says, big win for Santana and Ortiz. Pinning Jericho was a good call. The Jericho Kingston promo next week should be great. Yep, we're going to be seeing a face-off between both of them. So we'll talk about that in a second. Alrighty, we get a backstage segment between Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, and the Young Bucks. We kind of see, some tension between the Young Bucks, Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, and they both want to be the teams that are going to be part of the 3-way with Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus at Revolution. So there's a little friction there. And it basically ends with Kyle O'Reilly saying he had a baby. I didn't know he had a baby. He had a baby. I didn't realize he had a baby, but he had a baby. And so they end up basically saying how like, you're a father of one. Yeah, well, I'm a father of 2. And they kind of start arguing a little bit about, who has more kids. And then Adam Cole's like, calm down, everybody. All of your kids are pretty, or whatever he says. And so I thought that was pretty funny. But my favorite part was when Cutler asked Adam Cole, once both teams walked off the screen, he basically says like, hey, which direction you going? And Adam Cole's like, shut up, turn off the camera. That was funny. All right, let's continue on, because after this, we got the no DQ match with Mercedes Martinez versus Thunder Rosa. This was a lot of fun. We got some really good spots during this. I do wish this match would have gotten more time, because I think they could have done a little bit more, because a lot of people, including myself, I was really looking forward to this match. So personally, I would have liked to enjoyed it just a little bit longer. But anyways, both women come out with their, objects. You see Thunder Rosa coming out with a chair. Mercedes Martinez comes in with her pipe, and there's a bunch of great spots that we see during this match. One of them includes, Thunder Rosa essentially sending Mercedes Martinez through the barricade. They go out, they end up fighting throughout the crowd. And there was a moment where Thunder Rosa goes up to like the barricades on the, on the aisleways of the aisleways of the arena. And so she climbs up there, and this made me like really nervous because the thing was like super unsteady. Like, I don't know if like the fans kind of had to like hold it down, but that thing was super unsteady. So when Thunder Rosa went there, you can see like the whole entire thing shaking, but she lands it like a boss. She hits the crossbody onto Mercedes Martinez. So that was a nice little moment there. Afterwards, we end up going to picture in picture. I do not watch picture in picture. Finally we come back from picture in picture. We see Mercedes Martinez put Thunder Rosa through a table, and this was brutal too because Thunder Rosa's whole entire lower back just like completely breaks that table. But the way that the table is like slanted on the mat and the ring apron, it's sort of slanted. So not only does Thunder Rosa hit the table and crack it open, but she also slides afterwards. So it was kind of a brutal spot. And so she's, targeting the lower back of Thunder Rosa because immediately after that table spot, she just like smacks her in the back with the chair, and she does some more afterwards to her on her lower back. We see Thunder Rosa hit the Hurricanrana, and from the looks of it, it almost seemed like she was trying to get Mercedes Martinez to land onto the trash bin, but it didn't end up working out. I don't know if that was what was supposed to happen, but it kind of seems like that was supposed to happen. And so instead, Thunder Rosa basically puts the trash bin on Mercedes Martinez and does a running drop kick on her. That was dope. I liked that too. We see a really nice spider German suplex from Mercedes Martinez to Thunder Rosa, which looked epic as well. And at this point, we're seeing both girls take a lot of bumps, but I think that Thunder Rosa kind of took like the biggest beating during this match. Afterwards, we see Mercedes do an elbow from the top rope. She goes for the pin. It's a near fall. And then finally, we see Thunder Rosa hit a crucifix bomb. Afterwards, she puts Mercedes Martinez through a pile of chairs and wins this match. So glad that Thunder Rosa got her win here, especially because of the way that we're moving forward, because we are finally, and we've been talking about this, circling back to Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa once again. Now, I don't know if that's going to be the official Revolution match or if they're going to keep pushing it. I don't think we're going to see Britt Baker, Thunder Rosa for Revolution. I have a feeling we're probably going to be seeing a tag team match, and I have a feeling they're going to still push the Thunder Rosa Britt Baker match. That's just my gut feeling on that. But after this match, we see Thunder Rosa, pay respects to Mercedes Martinez. So they kind of, end on a good note. But post-match, we see Britt Baker come out, and she gets advice from her sensei, Martin Cove from Cobra Kai. And he basically tells her, like, you need to continue the attack on Thunder Rosa. So Britt tells Mercedes to hit Thunder Rosa with the pipe, and Mercedes Martinez doesn't want to. So Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter jump Mercedes Martinez, and afterwards, like, we essentially see all the attack on Thunder Rosa. So it looks like they're probably going to be teaming up Mercedes and Thunder Rosa against Britt and Jamie Hayter. That's probably the match that I'm expecting for Revolution. So we'll see. Matt Logan sends in a super chat. Thank you so much to Matt, who says, Denise, I expect Santana and Ortiz to be in the tag team title bout. God, I hope so. I really, really hope so. We'll talk about that more once we talk about the upcoming matches, but damn, I really hope that they're one of the two teams that are going to be added to that match. We will see. Thank you so much to Matt Logan for also sending in that super chat. And all right, let's see if we got any comments here that I want to pull up. This is a comment from Jeremy, who says, this match kind of shows what Mercedes brings to the table for the AEW women's division. It wasn't all perfect, but she did show some improvisation when it wasn't. Yeah, we saw some good improv during this match for sure. And that's also, Thunder Rosa too. Both very experienced women. They've wrestled each other a whole lot. So there is like history between them. So that's always, really nice to see there. And Let's go ahead and get this comment from Dale, who says, this match was great and they kept working even if some spots didn't work out. All right. After this, let's see where we go from here. In terms of the Paige VanZant feud, guys, let's talk about this. And I want to get your thoughts on this because Paige VanZant was, from the looks of it, supposed to be in a program with Brandi Rhodes. You know, we were talking about how Brandi Rhodes was in the middle of doing that before exiting from the company. So here's my question to those of you guys in the chat. What do we do from here? Do we transition Paige VanZant into somebody else? Like, that's really the only option. Or do we just like completely drop it? Do you want to see Paige VanZant get into a story with somebody else? And if so, who? Prior to Brandi even leaving, I just remember coming on here and being like, why isn't this a story for Britt Baker? Like, damn, like they could do something there. And there was people saying like, shit, it should have been Thunder Rosa. So like from the very beginning, it should have been somebody else, right? But now in hindsight, it really should have been somebody else. So that's my question to the chat. Let's see what people are saying here. We got people just basically saying that they should drop it. Put her in with Jade Cargill. She could, you know, that would be a very, would be a good win actually for Jade Cargill, especially because they've been keeping her like just so ridiculously strong here. We got people bringing up Conti as well, Ty Conti, and given that she had, you know, that title match with Britt Baker at Full Gear, you could give her something big. That would be pretty good, big too. But we got a lot of people saying Jade, that they should throw Jade in there as well. Matt Kensley says, I forgot there was a PVZ feud. Well, I mean, there was really just like one thing that was like done, really. Labor Day says PVZ is a star. She should be matched with Rosa after Rosa beats Britt for the title. That'd be good stuff too. And Eric Louis says, not Jade. She's too green. She's too green, says Eric Louise. And then I'm trying to get some more comments here. This one's from Danny Boy, who says Red Velvet, she needs a push, exposure. She's great in her own little way. She is great in her own little way, but I think that if you're going to put Paige VanZant with somebody, it's got to be somebody of like more of a big deal, like I said, like a Britt, a Thunder Rosa. I would throw in Ty Conti in there just because she's pretty popular and she would benefit a whole lot from it. And Jade, to give her, you know, a nice win. Those would be my options for that one. All right, let's continue on from here. After this, we got a House of Black promo. This one they're doing, this stuff isn't for me, guys. I'm not really like a big person in terms of like when it comes to all this dark underworld type of stuff. Like I can't decode this stuff. I don't know what I'm supposed to be reading in between the lines for. This isn't really my cup of tea, but you know, I watch and I appreciate it. I don't not like it. I appreciate it for what it is, but I'm not really like that. I guess you can say I'm just not like, I feel like you're supposed to read in between the lines for that stuff. And I tend to like be like, I don't know where we're going with this. But either way, so they're playing their like dark, mischievous card game. And Brody King asks, who are we waiting for? And then Malachi flashes like a little card. I don't know what the card says. I paused the screen. I put my face up to the screen, but I couldn't see what it said. And I couldn't see what was on the card. It was just too dark. And he either says, we're waiting for mystery or history. No idea what he said. That's it. That's a terrible review of that. Matt Logan sends in a super chat saying, use Marina Shafir, who has done AEW matches. That could be interesting. Thank you so much to Matt Logan for sending in this super chat. And someone say Ella Razi has a good comment, says Emo Denise is dead. Guys, this is just, I don't like, they're good. Like, don't get me wrong. They're good segments and I love the production. I'm just not like, oh, see what I mean? Everybody's like Buddy Matthews. You see what I mean? Like, I'm just not good at reading into that stuff, guys. I'm not good at it. Andrew Cook says, I couldn't make out the cards either. I need to hire somebody to come in every single week and break down these segments for me, guys. All right, let's continue on from here. Afterwards, we do get a promo from Jay White. basically says if it wasn't for him beating Kenny, that Kenny would have stayed in New Japan, so that AEW should thank him. I liked this too, and he basically closes it out with, it's still his era. We are getting the first Jay White match over on AEW Rampage, so we'll see how that turns out on Friday. So let's go ahead and talk about the matches that have been announced for Dynamite next week, the matches for Rampage this Friday, and also what we know so far that is taking place on AEW Revolution. So for Dynamite next week, I'm excited for this match because I love these guys. We're going to be seeing Pac and Penta versus the House of Black, so that should be a good time. We are also going to be seeing Eddie Kingston and Chris Jericho do a face-to-face confrontation. Fun. So we should get some good mic stuff there. Looking forward to that. We are also going to be seeing a tag team battle royale to determine one of the qualifying teams that's going to be added to the three-way on the Revolution match. And then next week, we are going to find out who the third and final team will be added to the three-way. All right, for Rampage, friendly reminder that it is starting at an earlier start time, so don't forget. Somebody remind me too on Friday. We are going to be seeing Adam Cole versus Dark Order's 10. We are also going to be seeing Jay White versus Trent Beretta. People are really excited about that. And we're also getting the Serena Deeb 5-minute rookie challenge. I didn't like this last time, so to be honest, I'm not really looking forward to it this week, to be honest. I hope that they do a better job than last week, because last week I was bored. Dante Martin versus Powerhouse Hobbs. I will tell you this much. I will not be bored during this match. It's going to be a Face of the Revolution qualifier match. And Dante Martin is going to be high-flying the frick out of this match. Powerhouse Hobbs going to be showing all the power. I'm really looking forward to this match. Are you kidding me? This match has Denise Salcedo written all over it. This is my kind of match. Very excited for it. All right. AEW Revolution. We have 3 matches that we know are happening so far. The three-way for the tag team titles. Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus versus TBD. CM Punk versus MJF in that dog collar match. That should be a bloody spectacle. And of course, the Face of the Revolution ladder match. So far, we have Keith Lee, Wardlow, and we're going to find out if either Hobbs or Dante Martin will be taking part in this. And then we still got 3 more TBDs to be determined for this Face of the Revolution ladder match, where the winner gets a TNT title shot in the future. All right. Lastly, question the mark says, how are you bored? Deeb's match lasted a minute. I didn't like it, guys. I wasn't entertained. Sue me. All right, main event, TNT Championship, Sammy versus Darby. This was literally a war between 2 guys that are the future of AEW. And today, they were showing why they were the future of AEW, okay? This was good stuff, all right? You have a former TNT champion versus a current TNT champion. And I was kind of in this I was thinking, during ahead of this, all right, there's got to be a moment where Andrade or somebody cost the match for Darby, right? Because Darby is somebody that for a good majority of his run in AEW has been very much protected in AEW. He's done so much. Great run as TNT champion. First competitor against CM Punk. He's done a lot of great stuff in AEW. Don't want to undo any of that. So I'm thinking shit, are they just going to have him get pinned cleaned here? What's going to happen? I don't know what's going to happen. Sammy Guevara, he's, restarting again. This is his second run now as TNT champion. So he's been doing a great job as champion, has been having very exciting matches, gave Cody Rhodes his last match in AEW, unbeknownst to all of us at that time. But he's been doing a great job as TNT champion. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. I do not want to see that championship end just yet, because he's doing a great job and I want to see more of it. So when I'm watching this, I'm thinking where are they going to go with this? Let's see what's going to happen. All right. Lots of great spots, guys. I won't name all of what we saw here, but just to kind of give a couple of these moments some appreciation. Sammy hitting a really nice senton on Darby while Darby's body was literally just hanging there on the very top rope. Sammy hitting the Spanish fly on Darby. The landing was a little weird. He was selling the left knee of that. The crowd is really 50-50 during this match. These are two favorites again, so they're really kind of like half the crowd is for Darby, half the crowd is for Sammy. I like that type of stuff. My favorite part was when Darby locked in the figure four leg lock and Sammy flips him off and they both just start slapping each other. I loved that. That was probably my favorite match of this. It's the favorite part of this match because I kind of felt like these were two guys that were like, we know we're the future of AEW, right? You know it. So I'm going to slap you harder because I'm better than you right now and I'm going to be better than you in the future. And so I probably read too much into that, but that's the way I took it. That's the way I appreciated it. Another awesome moment, Darby doing the tope and finding himself at the end of a cutter from Sammy. Good timing, really nice stuff that we saw there. Sammy then goes for another senton off the top rope, but Darby moves out of the way and he just hits the ring apron. So it was a very brutal spot for Sammy. So at this point, both of these guys have taken a beating from one another. And then out of nowhere, we get Jose the assistant. He gets involved, but Sting ends up taking him out. So Sting basically takes care of Jose, and the referee is distracted by what's going on with Jose and Sting. So he's not paying attention to Andrade, who comes from the opposite side and literally smacks Darby with the iPad. Finally, a real iPad. Smacks him with the iPad right in the head. And so Sammy hits the GTH and gets the win in this match here. But he gets the win by help of Andrade. So after this, what do we see? We see post-match, we see Matt Hardy coming in. He punches Darby. Sammy goes in, has his back, and Andrade hits him with a tablet too. And Andrade raises both TNT championship belts to close off the show. We already knew this. Darby said he was going after the TNT title. He did, but so did Andrade. He said he too wants to be TNT champion. So we'll see what happens there, but I am looking forward to what they're going to be continuing to do with Andrade and Darby, since Darby is the kid that Andrade wants. So thoughts on this, guys? Get all your last and final opinions sent in on this show, and then we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. But before I get your last comments in here, guys, friendly reminder, I'll be back on Friday to talk about SmackDown and Rampage, as I've mentioned before. On top of that, if you haven't already, please make sure to head on over to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Denise Salcedo. I have new interviews with Lita, Mickie James, and recently added today, I had about a 38-minute conversation with David Finlay. We had a great conversation. Tomorrow, I'm also going to be doing Elimination Chamber prediction show with Wade Keller. That's going to be a lot of fun. That's going to be on my channel as well. And then tomorrow, I'm also going to be at New Japan Strong tomorrow evening. So if you guys want to keep up with that show, I'll be tweeting about that on Twitter, or you can follow me at _Denise Salcedo. So much information. All right, let's get some final thoughts on this main event, and we'll go on from here. Aaron Murray says, how would you rate the show? 1 being worse and 10 being off the chart? Great. There's been a lot of good AEW shows, so it's really hard to say like a hard 10 just because there's been some really great ones. I would probably give this one, there was a lot that went down. A really good Sammy Darby match. I really liked that. Going to the Mercedes Martinez Thunder Rosa match. Good stuff there too. I'm going to give this one like a 7.5. I'm going to give this one a 7.5 because I just feel like there have been some really great AEW Dynamite episodes, and I feel like I want to respect those episodes. So I'm going to give this one a 7.5, but that is not a low score. It's a thought out score. I'm so happy. I don't want to mess up your name. Gomashi. I messed up your name. Oh my God. Okay, feel free to shorten my name to Pi. Pi sends in a massive super chat. Pi says, love your shows, Denise. Keep up the great work. Please, thank you so much for this massive super chat. You legitimately have no idea what that means to me. And I'm sorry, but I get extremely awkward when people send really kind super chats. But I just want to say thank you so much for sending this in. Dude, thank you so much, Pi. Thank you. I don't know what to do. What do I do? Thank you so much. I'm saying thank you too much, but I don't know what else to say. I really appreciate you. I appreciate everybody that tunes into these shows, because without you guys, I would not have this show. Without you guys, I wouldn't be getting this opportunity from F4W to continue doing these shows, and to not only host a show by myself is a lot of work. I don't think people really know how much it takes to do a show by yourself. But on top of that, I'm one of the few people that does solo shows for AEW Dynamite. One of the few women that do solo shows for not just AEW Dynamite, but for a lot of, NXT and all those other shows that I do. So for me, it just really means a lot to have your support and everybody's support. And now I'm acting like I won an Academy Award. But thank you so much for the very kind super chat. So with that being said, yes, I do now get to pay my rent. Thank you guys so much for everything. You all rock. I will see you here on Friday. Please give this video a like, subscribe to F4W Online. Let people know you guys enjoy this show. And I will see you guys next time. Bye, everyone.